Arthur Conan Doyle, The Return of Sherlock Holmes. The Adventure of the Solitary Cyclist, Part 1. From 1894 to 1901, Mr. Sherlock Holmes was a very busy man. It is safe to say that there was no difficult public case where he was not asked for help during those 8 years. There were also hundreds of private cases. Some of them were very complex and unusual. In many of them, he played an important role. There were many great successes and a few failures that could not be avoided. This was the result of this long time of constant work. I have kept very detailed notes of all these cases. I also took part in many of them myself, so it is not easy to choose which ones I should show to the public. However, I will follow my old rule. I will choose cases that are interesting not because of violent crime, but because of the clever and dramatic way they were solved. For this reason, I will now tell the reader about Miss Violet Smith, the solitary cyclist of Charlington, and the strange ending of our investigation, which ended in an unexpected tragedy. It is true that this case did not clearly show the famous abilities of my friend. Still, there were some details that made it special among the many crime cases from which I take material for these short stories. When I look at my notebook for the year 1895, I see that we first heard of Miss Violet Smith on Saturday, the 23rd of April. I remember that her visit was not welcome to Holmes. At that time, he was deeply focused on a very difficult and complex problem. It was about the strange persecution of John Vincent Harden, a famous tobacco millionaire. My friend loved precision and full concentration. He did not like anything that distracted him from his work. However, it was impossible to refuse to listen to the story of the young and beautiful woman. She was tall, graceful, and noble in her appearance. She came to Baker Street late in the evening and asked for his help and advice. It was useless to say that his time was already full. The young lady had decided to tell her story. It was clear that nothing but force could make her leave the room before she finished. With a calm and slightly tired smile, Holmes asked the beautiful visitor to sit down and tell us what was troubling her. "At least it cannot be your health," said he, as his sharp eyes looked at her. "Such an eager bicyclist must have a lot of energy." She looked down at her feet in surprise. I noticed the slight rough mark on the side of her shoe. It was caused by the friction of the edge of the pedal. "Yes, I ride a bicycle a lot, Mr. Holmes, and that is partly why I came to see you today." My friend took the lady's ungloved hand and looked at it very carefully. He showed as little feeling as a scientist looking at an object. "You will excuse me, I am sure. It is my work," said he as he let it go. "I almost made the mistake of thinking that you were typing. Of course, it is clear that it is music. You see the broad fingertip, Watson, which is common in both jobs? But there is a spiritual look in the face." He gently turned it towards the light, "which a typist does not have. This lady is a musician." "Yes, Mr. Holmes, I teach music." "In the countryside, I think, from your skin." "Yes, sir, near Farnham, on the border of Surrey." "A beautiful area, and full of interesting history. You remember, Watson, that it was near there that we caught Archie Stamford, the forger. Now, Miss Violet, what has happened to you near Farnham, on the border of Surrey?" The young lady spoke clearly and calmly and told this strange story. "My father is dead, Mr. Holmes. He was James Smith, and he led the orchestra at the old Imperial Theatre. My mother and I had no family left, except one uncle, Ralph Smith. He went to Africa 25 years ago, and we have not heard from him since. When my father died, we were very poor. Then one day we were told that there was an advertisement in the Times asking where we were. You can imagine how excited we were. We thought that someone had left us money. We went at once to the lawyer named in the paper. There we met two gentlemen, Mr. Carruthers and Mr. Woodley. They had come from South Africa for a visit. They said that my uncle was their friend. He had died some months before in great poverty in Johannesburg. With his last breath, he asked them to find his relatives and make sure they had what they needed. It seemed strange to us that Uncle Ralph did not care about us when he was alive, but wanted to help us after his death. But Mr. Carruthers explained that my uncle had just heard about the death of his brother, so he felt responsible for us. "Excuse me," said Holmes, "when did this meeting happen?" "Last December, 4 months ago." "Please continue." Mr. Woodley seemed to me to be a very unpleasant man. He was always looking at me in a rude way. He was a coarse young man with a round face, a red mustache, and hair pressed flat on both sides of his forehead. I thought he was very unpleasant, and I was sure that Cyril would not want me to know such a man. "Oh, Cyril is his name," said Holmes, smiling. The young lady blushed and laughed. "Yes, Mr. Holmes, Cyril Morton, an electrical engineer, and we hope to be married at the end of the summer." Dear me, how did I start talking about him? What I wanted to say was that Mr. Woodley was completely unpleasant, but that Mr. Carruthers, who was much older, was more agreeable. He was a dark, pale, clean-shaven, quiet man, but he had polite manners and a pleasant smile. He asked how we were living, and when he learned that we were very poor, he suggested that I should come and teach music to his only daughter, who is 10 years old. I said that I did not want to leave my mother. Then he suggested that I could go home to her every weekend. He offered me 100 a year, which was very good pay. So in the end, I accepted, and I went to Chiltern Grange, about 6 miles from Farnham. Mr. Carruthers was a widower, but he had a housekeeper, a very respectable older lady called Mrs. Dixon, who took care of the house. The child was lovely, and everything seemed good. Mr. Carruthers was very kind and loved music, and we had very pleasant evenings together. Every weekend, I went home to my mother in the city. The first problem came when the red-mustached Mr. Woodley arrived. He came for a visit of 1 week, and oh, it felt like 3 months to me. He was a terrible man. He was a bully to everyone else, but to me, he was even worse. He spoke to me in a very unpleasant way about love. He talked about his money and said that if I married him, I would have the finest diamonds in London. Finally, when I refused him, he grabbed me in his arms one day after dinner. He was very strong, and he swore that he would not let me go until I kissed him. Mr. Carruthers came in and pulled him away from me. Then Mr. Woodley attacked his own host, knocked him down, and cut his face. That was the end of his visit, as you can imagine. Mr. Carruthers apologized to me the next day and promised that I would never have to face such an insult again. I have not seen Mr. Woodley since. And now, Mr. Holmes, I will finally come to the main reason why I have asked for your advice today. You must know that every Saturday morning I ride my bicycle to Farnham Station to catch the 12:22 train to town. The road from Chiltern Grange is very lonely. At one place it is especially lonely, because it runs for more than a mile between Charlington Heath on one side and the woods around Charlington Hall on the other. You could not find a more lonely road anywhere. It is very rare to meet even a cart or a person until you reach the main road near Crooksbury Hill. 2 weeks ago I was passing this place when I happened to look back over my shoulder. About 200 yards behind me, I saw a man, also on a bicycle. He looked like a middle-aged man with a short, dark beard. I looked back again before I reached Farnham, but the man was gone, so I did not think more about it. But you can imagine how surprised I was, Mr. Holmes, when on my return on Monday, I saw the same man on the same part of the road. I was even more surprised when the same thing happened again, exactly the same, on the next Saturday and Monday. He always kept his distance and did not bother me in any way. but it was still very strange. I told Mr. Carruthers about it. He seemed interested and told me that he had ordered a horse and carriage so that I would not have to travel on these lonely roads alone in the future. The horse and carriage were supposed to arrive this week, but for some reason they did not come. So again, I had to cycle to the station. That was this morning. You can imagine that I was watching carefully when I came to Charlington Heath, and there, as expected, was the man, just as before. He always stayed so far from me that I could not clearly see his face, but he was certainly someone I did not know. He was wearing a dark suit and a cloth cap. The only thing I could clearly see was his dark beard. Today I was not afraid, but I was very curious. I decided to find out who he was and what he wanted. I slowed down my bicycle, but he slowed down too. Then I stopped completely, and he stopped as well. Then I made a plan to catch him. There is a sharp turn in the road. I rode very quickly around it, then stopped and waited. I thought he would come around the corner quickly and pass me before he could stop. But he never appeared. Then I went back and looked around the corner. I could see a mile of road, but he was not there. What makes it even more strange is that there was no side road where he could have gone. Holmes laughed quietly and rubbed his hands. "This case certainly has some interesting points," said he. "How much time passed between your turning the corner and your discovery that the road was empty?" 2 or 3 minutes. Then he could not have gone back along the road, and you say there are no side roads? None. Then he must have taken a footpath on one side or the other. It could not have been on the side of the heath, or I would have seen him. So by the process of elimination, we can see that he went towards Charlington Hall. As I understand, it stands in its own grounds on one side of the road. Anything else? Nothing, Mr. Holmes, except that I was so confused that I felt I could not be calm until I had seen you and asked for your advice. Holmes sat silent for a short time. "Where is the gentleman you are engaged to?" he asked at last. "He works at the Midland Electrical Company in Coventry." "He would not come to surprise you?" "Oh, Mr. Holmes, of course I would know him." "Have you had any other admirers?" "Yes, several before I met Cyril." "And since?" "There was that terrible man, Woodley, if you can call him an admirer." "No one else?" "Our client seemed a little uncertain." "Who was he?" asked Holmes. "Oh, it may just be my imagination. But sometimes it seems to me that my employer, Mr. Carruthers, takes a lot of interest in me. We spend quite a lot of time together. I play music for him in the evenings. He has never said anything. He is a perfect gentleman, but a girl always knows." "Ha!" Holmes looked serious. "What does he do for work?" "He is a rich man." "No carriages or horses?" "Well, at least he has enough money. But he goes to the city 2 or 3 times a week. He is very interested in South African gold shares." "Please tell me about any new developments, Miss Smith. I am very busy now, but I will find time to make some inquiries about your case. In the meantime, do nothing without telling me. Goodbye, and I hope we will hear only good news from you." "It is natural that such a girl should have admirers," said Holmes, as he smoked his pipe thoughtfully. "But usually not on bicycles on lonely country roads. It must be a secret admirer, without doubt. But there are some strange and interesting details in this case, Watson." "That he appears only at that place?" "Exactly. Our first step must be to find out who lives at Charlington Hall. Then there is also the question of the connection between Carruthers and Woodley, since they seem to be very different men. Why were they both so interested in finding the relatives of Ralph Smith? One more point. What kind of household pays double the normal price for a governess, but does not keep a horse, even though it is 6 miles from the station? Strange, Watson. Very strange. You will go there? No, my dear friend. You will go. This may be a small matter, and I cannot stop my other important work because of it. On Monday, you will arrive early in Farnham. You will hide near Charlington Heath. You will watch these events for yourself and act as you think best. Then, after you find out who lives in the hall, you will come back to me and report. And now, Watson, not another word about this until we have some clear facts to help us reach a solution.